Peace, y'all. Um, I have to get this off my chest when it comes to generation versus generation. Fucking Gen X versus Gen Z. Here's what trips me out. Ain't we all a part of the same fucking alphabet here? Okay. Um, that's one. Okay. Got a lot of people, and I'm a millennial. I'm born in 88. You got a lot of people from Gen X that'll sit there and say, I don't understand these kids today. I don't understand why they're doing what they're doing and, why they think it's okay and yada, yada, yada. Now, listen, I can see it from both perspectives because I am always in the middle. I can see why Gen Z could be upset with Gen X. I can see vice versa. But here's the thing. This is why a lot of kids don't respect their elders, because a lot of them will put them down. A lot of the elders will put down these kids for not doing things the way they did it. They'll put them down for doing things that seem to be outside of the box. I believe the reason why they do that is because when you break outside of the box, you don't know how to adjust to a change. You feel like as an elder, you're not able to give the wisdom that you have to them via experience. So for an example, you got a lot of these kids out here, they getting rich off of doing their thing, doing what they love to do instead of doing what they hate to do for the rest of their lives and then complaining about it like a grouchy bastard. Okay, that's just one example. I'm not saying everybody does that. But that grouchy bastard of an elder would love to sit down with you and have a beer with someone who directly reflects him. Oh, you had kids at my age. You work 40 to 80 hours a week working with steel, doing what I did, yada, yada, yada. Also, now I can relate to you. A lot of these elders don't know how to relate to the kids because the kids are breaking outside the box, which is what we're supposed to do. And parents will sit there and say, oh, well, I want you to be better than me. Okay, well, that's going to require some change. That's going to require us doing things differently. And so I feel like there is a deep sadness amongst elders where they feel like they don't know how to relate to the younger generation because of all the changes. That can be technology, that can be money, or economics, that can be in relationships and love, how we carry ourselves, everything. And I don't think they know how to really express that to where it makes sense. But I want to say to the elders specifically, and I'll get to Gen Z in a second, but I want to say to the elders, y'all can't sit there and keep shaming these kids for finding themselves. Especially when you directly know that you haven't given them the true wisdom they need to continue with life in a way that will suit you and them at the same time. They're not living for you. You're supposed to guide them, but you shame them instead. That's a problem. You're pushing Gen Z away. They're not going to give a fuck about what's coming out of your mouth because you're still so angry and you're bitter and you're hurt and you're confused and you don't know what the fuck to do about it except to sit there and blab your fucking mouth. I'm not saying this goes for all elders, All right, so if you drop in my comment section talking about some, oh, that's not me, shaking your cane at me and shit, then you're one of them. Okay. But stop shaming these kids. Because let me explain something to you. Because these kids are coming from your bloodline and your family tree, nowadays, shit is going to be expressed, whether you like it or not. Anything and everything you were terrified of, and it was a fear that you didn't get through, these kids are going to have to experience that same fear, and they're going to find a way to get through it for you. These kids are completing missions you chose not to complete. Please understand that. These kids are completing missions you chose not to complete because you were too scared that it wasn't going to make you enough money. You were too scared of what society was going to say about you. You were too scared of what the pastor in the church was going to say about you. You were too scared to leave the matrix when you know you could have. You were too scared to break out of the box when you know you could have. These kids are doing it. And they're doing it without the guidance of the elders. Motherfuckers go to TikTok and YouTube and social media for guidance. They can't come to you because there's still a level of fear you're so engulfed in that they know that if they mention it to you, you're not really mad at them. You're mad at yourself for not doing what they are actually doing or attempting to do. Having your own business. But no, you failed once or twice and you gave up on yourself. So now you're sitting there and you're stuck working 40 to 60 hours when you should be retired doing what you love to do. You're so upset at yourself. You're not even upset with these kids. You're upset with yourself. The changes that you wanted to make within yourself, yeah, okay, your parents could have sat there and said, oh, well, we don't believe in that. Or you're not going to do that. And you fell into those lines, and okay, there's no shame there. But don't you dare put that shame on these kids that are actually breaking out of it. Okay? You have to be willing to just simply listen and observe and understand the changes that are happening around you and choose to see your reflection. These kids are a pure reflection and projection of the parts of you have never expressed. You have never expressed the shit. You never expressed how you truly felt about religion. You never expressed what you truly felt about these fucked up medical systems. You never expressed how you truly felt when it came to gender and wanting to at least study and explore it. You never expressed yourself. You stayed in that same robotic lines that they want us to fucking stay in. And these kids are like, no. So you can't sit there and say that you want them to be better than you, and then when they actually try to do better, it may look messy. It may be sloppy sometimes. But they're doing it. They don't need your shame put on top of it. I know some of this shit is absolutely ridiculous. I understand that. And trust me, I'm going to get to Gen Z in a second. I understand that shit is ridiculous. The pronouns. Cultural appropriation. You don't know what to say no more. You don't know what to do no more. Everybody's all up in arms with everything. We get that. But it doesn't help to shame them. Being mad at them when you are not seeing how upset you really are at yourself. Okay? Now, for the Gen Z, for the youngins. Okay? I love y'all. I love the way you express yourselves. And some of the things I love the way you do, but let me tell you this. Where the elders have been way too logical, you guys are too fucking emotional. And there needs to be a balance between logic and emotion. They do not go without each other. Because how can you ever make sense of what you're feeling? You can't come up on here and make a bunch of videos and, have a platform where you're speaking about how you feel. How can you properly speak on how you feel if you are not being able to use a level of logic to break down what you're feeling? They go together. How could you give logic to other people and then at the end say, feel me? No, I don't feel you. They're never not together. They go, logic and emotion go hand in hand. That balance needs to be had. So yes, maybe you don't want to be like your elders. Maybe you don't want to be stiff. Maybe you don't want to be a grouchy bastard. Maybe you don't want to be angry at the world. I get that. Maybe you want to get in touch with your emotions. There's a lot that needs to be expressed. You're breaking generational curses that they did not break. And that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of hurt. That's a lot of fear. It's a lot in general. So I can understand why you're so emotional. But that doesn't give you the right to sit there and have people lose their jobs and put all this power into cancel culture because someone called you the wrong fucking pronoun. Nobody's fucking used to that shit. I've been every letter of the LGBTQ. I'm not fucking used to that shit. I'm not calling nobody they, them. That don't make no fucking sense. Okay? All you want to do is put the power of pressure onto other people via emotions. And what you're doing is you're taking advantage of people. And this isn't just pronoun shit. This is emotion in general. It needs to be regulated. What you're doing is you're taking the power of your emotions and you're putting pressure on those who don't know what to do. Be a guide. Be a teacher. Have some grace if you think you deserve a throne. But don't sit there and think that you think that you fucking know everything. You don't. Nobody knows everything. Have some grace. Y'all get sloppy with your emotions, slapping the people around with cancel culture because you're too fucking sensitive. I understand where the sensitivity is coming from, but it's too much. It's getting out of fucking hand. Okay? I get it. You want to be heard. I get it. All the hurt that you're holding on to from your trauma and the trauma that's been passed down in your family tree, in your bloodline. I get that it's a lot. But you are going to have to choose, which is a power. You are going to have to choose to balance yourselves. And some of these things that the elders be saying, listen to them. You may sit there and brag about having an old soul. It ain't nothing to brag about. Because look at all the work you got going on. You overwhelmed as fuck. When the elders speak, even if they're grouchy, even if they're angry, just simply listen. Because wherever there is a problem, there is a solution within it. You understand? This goes for both Gen Z, Gen X. I don't know why there's not a Gen Y. I don't. That's weird. I feel like I would probably fit there, but I'm a millennial, I guess. No matter where the fuck you fit in the alphabet, on any alphabet, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are. You can be older, you can be younger. It doesn't matter. The best thing that we can do is to listen. And when we listen with our hearts and our minds and align the two. Emotion, logic. Align them. You may not like what anybody has to say. That's okay. You're not meant to like everything that everybody has to say. Hence why there's a fucking dislike button on our social media pages. But it's not about like or dislike. It's just about simply observing. Find your reflection in what that person is saying. I'll probably make a video on reflections and how that works. But find your reflection in what they're saying. When you're listening to these people, whether old to young or young to old, choose to have a perspective where they are mirroring you. Is that something you would have said as a kid? As a kid, though, before your parents beat religion into you, before society beat their ways into you. Think about how your imagination used to work. You understand what I'm saying? For these kids, think about these traditions that you actually do enjoy. Family traditions. You know what I'm saying? Economic traditions. So just observe. Just listen. It's ego versus ego. It's hurt versus hurt. It's confusion versus confusion. All right? So love yourselves. Love each other. And truth and love go together. So even if you don't like it, when someone speaks the truth, just simply respect that shit. All right? So that's what I got when it comes to Gen Z versus Gen X and these generation versus generation. It's ridiculous. We're part of the same fucking alphabet. All right? Everybody check yourselves lovingly. Peace.